What does it really mean to be Canadian? It's not just saying sorry or wearing flannel, though we've definitely mastered both of those. It's about stepping up, not stepping out when the world hits the fan. It's showing up with decency, guts, and that classic Canadian instinct to just do the right thing.
And if you missed our last video, go check it out after this. We told you about Canada's quiet courage on the beaches of Juno and Dieppe in France.
The Iranian hostage rescue mission that became a Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah, where Canada played the supporting role in its own rescue mission. And the peacekeepers in Rwanda who tried to stop genocide while the world looked away.
This week, we're doubling down because there are even more places where Canadians changed the course of history. Not with bombs and bravado, but with brains, backbone, and a whole lot of heart. Let's start with Vimy Ridge. April 1917. For the first time ever, all 4 Canadian divisions fought together in a single battle. They were up against the Germans who were dug into the high ground in northern France. This wasn't some minor skirmish. This was one of the key turning points in the war.
The French and British had tried and failed to take it. But the Canadians, our soldiers, pulled it off in 4 days. 4 days of brutal fighting where over 10,000 Canadians were wounded or killed. The Germans lost thousands as well, but when the dust was settled, the ridge was theirs.
And that changed everything. Military leaders around the world took notice. Canada had just done what major powers couldn't. We weren't just a colony anymore, we were a force. That's why it's still taught as a defining moment in Canadian schools.
And just to be clear, Canada didn't start this war. World War I began after the assassination of an Austrian Archduke. It spiraled into a European power struggle. Germany invaded Belgium, and Britain declared war to defend it. We didn't go looking for this fight, but when the time came, our soldiers did their duty with honor and made history at Vimy.
And we've been there. We have stood on that ridge and walked those trenches. The memorial towers over the battlefield now are a monument to the sacrifice and skill of Canadians. If you're ever in France, you can follow the Canadian War Trail from Vimy to Dieppe to Juno Beach. It really is humbling, it's heartbreaking, and it's unforgettable.
Let's talk about Gander, Newfoundland. Because if you ever heard someone like Trump say that Canada takes advantage of the US, just remind them what happened on 9/11.
Exactly. When US airspace shut down after the attacks, 38 planes were diverted to Gander, Newfoundland. This tiny town of just 9,000 people suddenly had over 6,500 strangers land in their laps with nowhere to go.
And what did the Canadians do? They opened their homes. They cooked meals, gave out medication, diapers, clothes, whatever they had. They didn't seek praise. It was just pure human decency at its finest.
It was a kind of response that goes against every Fox News talking point. And it's not the first time. Canada has fought side by side with Americans in war. We've sent firefighters when their forests burned. And when they needed us on 9/11, Canadians didn't hesitate.
They even made a Broadway musical out of it, Come From Away. It ran for more than 1,600 performances, won a Tony, and swept the award season from New York to London.
And the most common reaction from audiences, especially Americans, wait, Canada did that? Yeah, they did. But the real story? That's just how Canadians are. Quiet, kindness, no spotlight, just getting it done. Kandahar was one of the most dangerous places during the war in Afghanistan, and Canada stepped up. More than 40,000 Canadian troops served there, and 158 never made it home. Thousands more came back with visible and invisible wounds. Afghanistan wasn't something we entered into lightly. After 9/11, the US invoked Article 5 of NATO for the first time in history. An attack on one is an attack on all, and Canada answered the call.
And yet, people like Trump and Vance keep pushing this narrative that Canada doesn't pull its weight, that we're somehow freeloaders.
Canadian soldiers helped build and protect schools, hospitals, water systems, basic infrastructure. They trained Afghan police and military forces. They brought humanitarian support to places that had been forgotten. And they were there to serve. There are no blockbuster movies or hit series about what they did, but maybe that's the most Canadian thing of all. In 2010, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake devastated Haiti. Over 300,000 lives were lost and the country's infrastructure collapsed in an instant. In Canada, we mobilized immediately.
Within 24 hours, the HMCS Halifax and the Athabascan were en route. Engineers, doctors, medics, logistic teams, you name it, Canada sent over 2,000 personnel.
Canada provided 21 million liters of drinking water, treated hundreds of patients, and helped rebuild schools, medical stations, and roads. It was one of the largest humanitarian missions ever, but you probably didn't hear much about that.
And while countries like the US sent troops and scrambled to coordinate NGOs, Canada acted fast and focused on direct aid, not military control. Haitian activists and international observers criticized the U.S. response for resembling a military occupation more than a humanitarian relief efforts.
Haiti isn't a strategic oil hub. It doesn't hold key trade routes, but it's close to the U.S. coast, and its instability has long been viewed through a geopolitical lens, especially when it comes to migration and regional influence.
You don't hear these stories on Fox News. No one's chanting, "Canada first," with a maple leaf cape, unless you're Pierre Poilievre. But that's never been our style.
Canada Pride doesn't scream. It just shows up. In Vimy, in Gander, in Kandahar, in Haiti. That's what makes us proud to wear the maple leaf. And hey, if you're proud too, check out our merch store. We've got gear that says Never 51, Canada Stays Free, and a whole lot more. It's bold, it's Canadian, and yeah, it definitely makes a statement.
So the next time someone says Canada would be better off as the 51st state, remind them, we're not a backup plan for broken empires. We don't need to be part of the United States to lead, to serve, or to matter. We've been doing all of that all along on our own terms.
Canada isn't just proud of where we've been, we're ready to lead where the world is going. With Mark Carney at the helm, we've got a leader who understands the stakes: climate, stability, global partnerships, compassion-driven leadership.
We've seen what Canada can do when it acts on its values, from war zones to disaster zones. Canadians don't wait for applause, they roll up their sleeves and get it done.
So stay loud, stay proud, stay united, because Canadians are at their best when the world needs us most.
If this video reminded you of what Canadian pride really looks like, share and drop a comment below. Which of these stories hit you hardest, and which one should every Canadian know? Did anyone in your family serve? Let us know, because we read every comment.
And if you're tired of being told we're just America's sidekick, subscribe and help us keep telling the stories they'd rather we forget.
Canada's not perfect, but we've shown the world who we are again and again, and most recently in this election. So let's keep showing up and let's keep speaking out.